You don't have any levels of introspection.
Yes, zero, as little as possible.
Why?
Move forward, go. Yeah, I don't know. I found people who dwell on the past get stuck in the past. And you probably know if you go back, it never would have occurred to anybody to be introspective.
Say more about that.
Great men of history didn't sit around doing this stuff at any prior point, right? It's all a new construct, right? The individual needs to feel guilt, needs to look backwards, needs to dwell on the past. It never resonated with me.
Marc speaks quickly and looks to express a significant amount of meaning in a short amount of time. Perhaps one reason his statement incites controversy and debate is because the implications of what he is saying are not immediately clear. So, what is he saying? One common interpretation you'll find expressed in heated comments suggests that Marc's words provide an alarming insight into the mindset of a psychopathic billionaire. People will pay more attention when someone who has achieved something rare in their life comments on any given topic, because, supposedly, their individual rarity makes them more likely to offer an original idea or insight. When the words come from a billionaire, celebrity, or athlete, greater scrutiny is applied, and often it is an unacknowledged envy that drives people to be more critical towards the supposed winners of society. So, is Marc really suggesting that the internal dialogue that runs through your head, the one that might give rise to feelings such as guilt, is something to be entirely avoided and ignored? Is he advocating to live as some sort of machine that mechanically focuses on the tasks they wish to complete, without considering the wider internal dialogue that often presents itself when you pursue something? To paraphrase Marc, the focus should simply be on getting on with what needs to be done. The reasoning is that introspective rumination detracts from your ability to make physical progress. But entirely avoiding such forms of reflection also presents dangerous potential implications. Because if you retain zero concern for wider questions about life, people, and the self, do you not start to lose what makes you human? If you simply focus your life on processes and outcomes, without ever exploring the internal questions that arise from the thing you are involved in, are you any different from a machine? History shows us such a way of thinking can be destructively powerful. Indeed, losing concern for wider human feelings such as guilt is effectively how institutions of the past and present have justified mass genocides and ethnic cleansings. The eradication of entire populations was simply viewed as a goal that needed to be pursued without having to reflect on the deeper consequences of what was being done. Now, this is where context is important. Marc's life events show that he's not interested in mass murder, but building companies and technologies that revolutionize the world. And he has been notably successful in this endeavor. Thus, perhaps what Marc's view on introspection actually exposes is not that the avoidance of it is something inherently problematic, but rather, freeing yourself from certain forms of it can be a powerful tool for any given purpose. And as such, extreme good and evil are not executed by different mechanisms that stand worlds apart, but side by side. The sword of a warrior is equally as capable at defending an innocent life as it is from taking one. Whether you are building a company that helps the world or an institution that oppresses people, exceptional outcomes require extreme focus and devotion. Whether your pursuit is deemed to be positive or negative doesn't change the fact that significant change can only be attained through extreme and unconventional approaches. In many ways, Marc is right. If your existence is constantly bombarded with neurotic emotions about past events that have happened, or future events that will, you will simply not have the required mental capital to devote yourself to exceptional outcomes. And history shows this is a fundamental truth about the human condition. Take the Buddha, Siddhartha, for example. He did not begin his journey with the aim of achieving conventional material success, nor did he begin with the goal of influencing the lives of others. He only wanted to conquer his mind and all aspects of psychological suffering, and he was willing to do anything to attain this. At the age of 29, he left his palace, his wife, and newborn son, to become a homeless wanderer that was willing to travel anywhere and try anything to reach his goal. Surely, any naturally introspective human would have felt a grave guilt at the thought of leaving behind their family, and would never be willing to do it. But the Buddha was. In fact, he left without saying a word, and only returned to see his family after 10 years. He set out on a mission because he was captivated to find something, and would not allow any internal dialogue to prevent his journey. It is indeed a short life that we humans live, but our inability to viscerally acknowledge this is why we believe we possess the luxury of wasting time, why we spend time brooding and choosing to live as a prisoner within our own thoughts. Tell me, what would happen to your outlook on life or your depression if you were told next Sunday at 6 p.m. you would take your last breath? It's funny. By being told something morbid and devastating, that everything, including your very life, will be taken away from you in a matter of days, you would suddenly feel like you gained the greatest thing. The ability to live completely and fully. To immediately discard all fears and nonsense from your life. And immerse yourself only in those things that speak to you on a higher level. You wouldn't care for explanations and endless internal reflections. You would just live. Perhaps the Buddha felt something like this before he left home. Perhaps the entrepreneur feels this when they forfeit a comfortable lifestyle to build something that speaks to them. But you might here argue that Marc's take on introspection isn't totally consistent. Because if you are instead attuned to a higher thing that speaks to you, rather than an introspective force that ruminates and wanders to no avail, you are still following some sort of internal dialogue, just perhaps one that focuses less on fleeting emotions and more so on something beyond. Therefore, in many ways, Marc's statement need not draw any controversy. Because who will just suddenly turn off their wandering mind and suddenly become connected to a relentless drive for something else? Will hearing Marc's words, or anyone else's, instantaneously free you from fruitless cycles of thought? The mind does not tend to operate in this way. And even if dramatic change does occur, it wouldn't be because a few words from someone else changed you in the snap of a finger. Because powerful words are much more about reminding than teaching. In truth, their power lies in summoning to the surface an understanding and breakthrough that was already brewing inside you. So, how does one begin to foster such understandings? Like anyone who has found something significant in their life, it is by taking the first step on a sincere journey. Marc's passing comments have incited interest because they implicitly speak to a matter that many people wrestle with on a daily basis. The endless internal wandering, the constant bouncing between so-called introspective emotions which exhaust you, yet fail to lead you to a destination you ultimately want to reach. The prospect, therefore, of being able to remove this aspect of your life seems tantalizing, like the removal of a tumor or dead tissue that was never truly serving any constructive purpose. And if Marc's words, or anyone else's, are able to evoke within you the realization that you can be unchained from an internal voice that has held you in bondage for as long as you can remember, perhaps you will move to a dialogue or a way of living that will serve you better. Should the Buddha be considered a psychopath and discredited for leaving his family to pursue the journey he did? Your answer may reveal something about yourself and how far you're willing to go.